All right, that sound means that we are now live. Welcome, everybody, to Progressive Parenting Network Presents, and we are going to be talking today about the flu, which is perfect that we're talking about it right now because it's almost Halloween, and the flu is scary, or at least they say it is, and everywhere I go as a mom, I'm meant to feel terrified of my kids catching the flu, and I want to talk more about that today with Stephanie Tallent of Beautiful.com. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Gina. I love being here.
Well, what is it about that where everywhere you turn, like just the other day I was talking to you and you said that Steve got a notification on his phone from was it a doctor's office or where was that from, or like from a Walmart? Okay, yeah, that said it's time to get your flu vaccine. So it's everywhere. Everybody's telling us why it's so terrifying and we should never get the flu. And I want to talk about that. Why scare the heck out of moms?
Oh, because it's profitable for one.
Oh, okay. So there's money.
Moms, we're the ones who are the gatekeepers. So we're the ones who are like making these decisions for our kids. And if we're really terrified, we make a lot of decisions, and it's good. That's what we're supposed to do as moms. We're supposed to protect our kids. But I think we end up fearing this so much that we stop thinking, what can we proactively do to just help keep our kids healthy, because the reality is you don't have to be afraid of something when your system is strong and can resist it, because there's viruses and colds and flus and bacteria around us all the time. So what makes the difference between when we get it and when we don't get them? And the key is a healthy immune system is the best defense possible. And so a lot of moms, peace of mind, for me, the best defense is a good offense. And so I feel like if I have a good plan in place, then I don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm not having to make a decision in a state of panic. Or
we aren't being told. I mean, if I were to listen to my doctor, all I would need to do is make sure my kids get vaccinated. The end. Like, I'm not being told that a good offense is a good, or a good defense is a good offense. Is that what you said?
The best.
I'm not being told anything like that by my doctor. My doctor's like, you need to get your kids vaccinated so they don't get sick. But I'm not hearing anything.
They do. I have friends whose kids are fully vaccinated, and they do. And then they get a flu. And then what?
And then what?
There's still that question of, okay, I did it, now what? Now they're really sick and they're running a fever, and I took them into the doctor and he thinks it's a virus. He says it might be a flu. Not the flu because he was vaccinated, but a flu. Now what? So that's when I usually get the call at that point going, okay, what do I do now? And then we go back to the basics again. It's like, okay, let's start at the foundation level and let's see what we can do to build up that defense, so that help the body to defend itself.
Okay, so let's talk about what the basics are outside of an apple a day.
An apple a day is a great place to start. That's good. But fresh air and sunshine. It's. I think parents. We always think, what is it? What's this big deal that I have to do to protect? Like, what's the big guns? And one of the best things a kid can do is just get out in the sunshine and run around in fresh air. The activity stimulates the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is like the major highway, one of the major communication systems that helps the immune system. So keeping that cleared out and moving is just crucial. The sun provides vitamin D, which is absolutely crucial in defense against viruses. And so fresh air and sunshine, it's free, and it's important for the overall health of the kid in every single way. So it's easy to do. Well, not, sometimes easier said than done, but.
Well, yeah, the fresh air and sunshine part, like, I think when we first moved here to Texas, my kids, I found, were getting sick all the time. Not like hardcore, but just more than they ever had, which is never. My kids rarely get sick. And we got like a flu and a cold a couple of, about 3 times over a year. And I'm like, what is going on? We went from living in a house where the kids could come and go as they pleased to living in an apartment complex where I would have to go outside with them in order for them to leave. So them leaving, and then everybody was getting sick, and I went, oh my gosh. And when I put the two things together, I'm like, we have to make it a priority to get outside every single day and not just every once in a while. And we were avoiding it because it was crazy hot here in Texas. Wasn't used to that, and but now we've got it down, and we understand like how important just sunshine.
And some kids are not a fan of it. They would rather be in the house on their Kindle or playing a video game, and they're like, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to, and they'll give you crap. And that's hard, because then you're like, well, now I feel like I'm torturing my kid. Not only is it hard for me, but it seems to be hard for them, but it's so important. And I found with my kids, I have one that's like that, like it's just total couch potato, please don't make me go outside. But when I kick her outside, and I'm like, you are going to be outside for this amount of time, find something to do. And after about a week of it, all of a sudden she was having fun. She discovered she actually did like to pedal her bike. And yes, she could, run around and create all these little games. So it's good for her mental well-being as well as her physical well-being. But
well, it's just such a simple thing. I think because it's so simple and it's not in a pill form, people aren't going to really subscribe or prescribe to it. And I think it's funny
to dismiss, but it's so important.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think it's something that we do dismiss is that the idea that flu season starts around Halloween and kind of goes all the way until Valentine's Day, another sugary holiday. So I don't really think there's a big coincidence. It was I think it was my chiropractor who pointed it out a couple of years ago, and he was like, don't you think it's a coincidence that it starts right about the time we start putting tons of sugar into our body and it ends right about the last holiday that we're doing that? And then you brought up something really important too, and I'd like you to share that with everybody, and another coincidence around that.
Oh, the vitamin D levels, because I mentioned earlier vitamin D is so important in the body's immune system. So about the time when we start, we get done with our summer activities, we're back in school. In some areas of the country, it started to get really cold, and it's like really inconvenient to get outside, or dreary or whatever. That our D levels can also drop around that same time that we start loading up on sugar, which can also really be a key playing point in the whole reason why we might be more susceptible on that time. And the third thing is we then start sending our children in packs into crowded classrooms where they cough and hack and have direct contact on each other. Now, really strong immune system can go through that, but any of our kids who have some of these factors going on, where their immune systems are a little more vulnerable than usual, that's like just dropping them into a Petri dish. So it just makes sense. All these different factors come together, and all of a sudden, boom, everybody's sick, and it's going around everywhere. And it just explodes, and then it peaks out. With our company, we see the increase starting right around the time kids go back to school, and then it starts dropping off 1st of March. That's about the time when we see it start dropping off again.
Well, how do we go about becoming healthy, like getting our bodies ready, or preparing for this upcoming flu season? How do we start getting healthy, and so we can avoid it?
So one of the things that I learned a few years ago, and it just kind of blew my mind, and I had never really heard people talking about it on a basic level, is 70 to 80% of our immune system is in our guts, and that's regulated by our digestive tract. And that's just incredible, because we talk about all these other things. We talk about vitamin C and all these other things, but we really don't talk about the role that our guts play. And a lot of parents don't realize that their kids who may have ongoing digestive issues, that can also be a red flag that they're a little more immune. They might struggle with their immune systems a little more. They may not directly draw that correlation because one doesn't really seem to have anything to do with the other. So for me, one of the things I do for my kids is I'm like, okay, if that's 80% of their immune system is regulated from that, I want them to have as good a support there as possible. So for me, one of the basics to do is just a good probiotic on a daily basis. Just give their little systems as much good bacteria as possible. Probiotics are talked about everywhere right now. You can find them just about anywhere. And
good probiotic. What do you mean when you say good probiotic?
By good probiotic, I mean one that has multiple strains, is fairly broad spectrum. I would look for one that has three or more for this purpose, because there are hundreds of colonies of bacteria, so there's hundreds of them, but you want something that's going to really populate and help expand the good territory and help be your protectors and defenders. You can get probiotics that go up to 30 or more strains, but for kids, you can get a good one I would just shoot for one that's 3 or more strains. And before you buy from a supplement company, I would ask them if they're full disclosure, because you want to know what's in it. And then also ask them if the bacteria count on the bottle is guaranteed through the expiration date on the bottle. Because some companies will put the bacteria count on it and it'll be something billion. You'll be like, oh, that's awesome. That was a bacteria count at bottling, not what they guarantee it to be. So a lot of companies like ours we put what its guaranteed potency to be all the way up to the expiration date to account for the dying off and things like that. So you know what the potency will be the whole time you're giving it to your kid. So that's a good question to ask as well.
Okay, so that's, forgive me, I don't even know this. I know I got my probiotics from you, but I know the one we have in the fridge, that the expiration date. A girlfriend of mine asked me about it. She's like, what probiotics do you take? And I was like, well, that's a really great question. Let me go see. And I showed it to her. Mm-hmm. And then she asked me that question about the expiration date. And I was like, yeah, I know that they do that. They're a, oh gosh, what's it called? The disclosure.
We're a full disclosure company.
Full disclosure company. See, I don't know anything about this stuff, but I knew that that was important. And she was like really impressed with me. She's like, oh, good for you. But more and more people are talking about gut health. I never thought I'd have a conversation about that with like another mom. Like that would just be something that came up. Like, what probiotics do you take? And I think it's really important for parents to understand that that's such a big part of your immune system is your gut. And like,
how to make it sound like probiotics, supplementing with probiotics are the only way to get this good bacteria. And I mean, I have mama friends who they're making their own kefir and they're making their own yogurt and they're culturing water kefir grains and cultured foods galore. They're fermenting, they're making sourdough pancakes. They're doing all these different things to get from food sources. And as our culture, I mean, most of us in mainstream America, we have to do a lot of self-education to get to the point where we're actually feeding probiotics to our kids in the natural food, and we really have to change how we do things in the kitchen. Right. But the probiotics kind of bridge that gap. It's an easy button, and it's easy to get in them, and it's fast, and there's helping us bridge that gap from where we are with our diets. But, I mean, you can do it by diet as well.
Well, I mean, and that's what we used to do anyway.
Yeah, that's how we used to get our probiotics. We didn't take them in a pill. We ate some sauerkraut and called it good. That's
right, or kimchi and all that good stuff. That's what we've been doing for forever, and then we got away from that, and now we're a lot more sick than we used to be. So, good, I wanted to talk about sugar. So how about just relaxing about this whole thing? Like moms, I think, are really pent up and freaked out about their kids getting sick, and that carries over.
Number one things that lowers the immune system is stress. And guess what? When moms are stressed, it stresses kids out. That's just how that works. And I see so many moms who, especially the ones, and I completely understand it because I have one this way, especially the ones that if they get sick, they are prone to side effects. Like they'll be the ones that have a lung infection. They'll be the ones that get a sinus infection. And they're the ones that are like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't want them to get sick because it's so bad when I get sick, and I just don't want them to get sick. And I watch their kid's face while the mom's doing this, and you can see their eyes getting bigger, and they just kind of sit like this. Get sick. And you see it stressing the kid out because mom is freaking out. Right. And so one of the most proactive things I tell moms is, one, just take a step back, take a deep breath, and don't let this stress you. Because if you're stressed about it, the trickle-down effect is it'll stress our kids. And so, but that peace of mind for me, because I can't just tell myself don't stress about something. I have to have a plan. Like I have to feel like this is covered, or I'm going to keep stressing about it. And so that's part of where the supplements and having a good plan in place to where like, okay, I've got this. We've got a good plan in place. We're going to keep them well supported. So I'm not just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, trusting that everything's going to be okay. We're going to be proactive about it. And then I'm able to go, okay, I'm going to let this go, and I don't have to stress about it.
Right. Okay, so I've mentioned this before. My favorite show at night is the Craig Ferguson's late night talk show, and I like at the very end of the show, they have this little thing where these backup singers sing, "What did we learn on the show tonight, Craig?" What I learned today from you was I need to chill the heck out. I need to chillax about my kids getting the flu. I need to keep it simple. I need to stay away from sugar. I need to make sure that my kids get plenty of sunshine and exercise. And because I am not that mom who's making kefir in my own sourdough bread and making my own kimchi, since I'm not doing those things, I definitely want to make sure that I get my hands on some really good probiotics, make sure that the company is a full disclosure company. But what are some other things? Like I said, I'm a little bit of your lazy, crunchy mom, so What are some other things that I can give my kids that you would recommend?
Okay, I would recommend for all kids, especially through winter, a good vitamin D supplement. You can get it in cod liver oil because that comes with a natural amount of A and D. If you there's a reason that our great great grandmothers for years swore by cod liver oil. They knew that when kids got it, it's disgusting. It is. Let's just face it, it is. But they knew something good happened to kids' health when they got it, and then studies have since backed that up. What they saw. It's because it has high levels of concentrated A and D in a very bioavailable form. If you choose to go the cod liver oil route, make sure the company, again, that full disclosure question applies here as well, but also ask them if they test by batch for heavy metals. Our oceans and seas have gotten to be kind of a really scary place for fish these days, and you want to make sure it's ethically harvested. You don't want farm raised because that's not going to have as good of benefits. So it's a little trickier to get the cod liver oil. Or you can just straight out buy vitamin D drops, which are pretty tasteless, pretty easy to get in kids. It's not, and just it doesn't have the A with it, but D is specifically with viruses and flus. Vitamin D levels are crucial. If the body has adequate levels, it's just like one of the best things you can do. So there's lots of information out there about that. So getting all the way through winter, especially if your kids aren't getting outside and getting in sunlight, on their skin where they could possibly convert some of that natural D. And these days, again, it goes back to our diets. Our diets just, we don't get much dietary source of D anymore. So again, supplementation ends up, being the easy go-to thing for moms to do. And I personally dose our kids with D all the way through winter.
Awesome. This has been good stuff. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No. I really appreciate it. It's an important topic, the flu. I mean, parents get so freaked out about it, and I really just kind of want everybody to know that it's not as big a deal. I mean, if you have a child who has, like I have an 8-year-old that has Down syndrome, so she has a compromised immune system. At least that's what they told us when she was born. But she's been the least sick out of everyone. But I think it's because she has the best diet. She doesn't shy away from veggies or fruits, and she eats everything that we give her. So she's like the person who gets sick the least in her family. But I do understand that if you have a compromised immune system, that the flu can be something that is very scary. I don't want to downplay that at all.
Great. And the other tool that can be really good for if you feel like you have an at-risk kid more than others, or if you just, there's certain times in life where we don't have the life space to get sick. I mean, I don't have the time for them to get sick. I mean, sickness is a normal part of childhood. That's how their immune systems are built. It's not that I'm afraid of them getting sick. I just sometimes, it's a bad time. Like, it's a terrible time. None of us have time for that. So in those times, especially, or if I know they've been exposed to a bug, like if something's going through the group of friends that they just spent time with, or we just went out to a big social gathering and half the people are getting sick, I pull out a product, the one that I use is called Berrywell. It's an elderberry product, and there is almost nothing on this planet as powerfully protective and effective against flus and viruses as elderberry is. And there's a lot of different companies out there. You can find it in most health food stores these days. And I just give it I call it like my purple gold. I just pour it on a spoon and give it to my kids 3 times a day. If I'm really like, we cannot get sick, or you've just been exposed to something nasty, that's like my front line of defense. And a lot of the moms I know who have these, what I would call higher risk kids, that they might have some side effects. If they did get sick, they wouldn't necessarily be able to go through the sickness in a good way like a normal kid with a great immune system. They really swear by elderberry as well. It's just good stuff. But the other thing is when they get sick. So, okay, maybe you didn't do your preventative, or you kind of came down with something anyway. One of the things that moms are always like, what do I do now? Well, keep doing what you're doing, because that'll keep their immune system strong. So hopefully it'll be short-lived and a light case. But the other thing you can do, and this is just, it's so cheap, you can do it at home, and if there's any sign of, like if it's, that green snot starts appearing, or the yellow snot, and you're just like, oh, it's turning into something else, do a garlic poultice. Have you ever done one?
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, Stephanie. Tell me what that is.
Okay, so you go to the grocery store, you get just a head of raw garlic, and you peel the little cloves off, and you smash them. And you can do two things at this point. You can mix it in with a really creamy base. I'm not going to tell you, please don't use anything that's petroleum based. Use some, lotion, or I've even used coconut oil. I've mixed the coconut oil in it until it's thick and creamy. And you can spread it on the feet of the child that needs it, and prop them up in front of the TV and let them watch something. Now, the thing about the paste is you can leave it on for a longer period of time because the oils keep it from burning, but raw garlic is super strong. But there's tons of receptors in the feet. The bloodstream pulls this garlic. Now, garlic is nature's most powerful antibiotic. But it doesn't kill the good stuff. It's just amazing how it works. So I can tell when it's worked when I smell the breath of my kid that I've got it on their feet, and I can smell the garlic on their breath. And it's like, okay, that's now officially saturated their system to the point that it's coming out on their breath, and we can peel it off their feet. That's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is take that mushed up garlic and the garlic juice, spread it on a paper towel, pour some hot water over it, and then put those on their feet with a little plastic wrap on top. You want the paper towel to be buffering, put it on their feet, and you can leave that for 5 to 10 minutes. Now, because there's no oil involved in that, it's just straight up against their feet, you're going to want to take that off faster. You don't want to risk the garlic burning, but it also tends to uptake a little bit faster. There's something called allicin that's released when you pound a clove of garlic. These compounds are kept separate inside the clove, and when you squish them together, they're activated. They only stays good for 15 to 20 minutes. So preparing a poultice fresh per application is what makes the magic work. That's what makes it work so well. Because I've had a lot of moms be like, well, I fixed one in the morning. I just kept reheating it and putting it on their feet all through the day, and it didn't seem, I'm like, well, yeah, well, that's because the good stuff was long gone by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why when you prepare stuffing with fresh garlic in it, you want to eat it right away.
Yeah.
For the benefits.
For the immune, and the hardcore people put a clove of garlic in their mouth and eat it, but gosh, that's not going to happen with a kid. This is a way that it's pain-free to get it into their bodies, and we see our kids turn around so fast. Like, I mean, it's just incredible.
My grandma used to do we just thought my grandma was crazy and we let her do it, I think.
I want to be that grandma. I want to be that grandma that my grandkids are like, she's crazy, but she
would do that. She would put garlic and olive oil together and put it on a little piece of cotton and put it in my ear for earaches, and I liked it. I liked the way it smelled, and it made my ear feel better. That's all I cared about. I love that. And then she would put raw garlic in our in frijoles, refried beans, and she would just stick it in there and make us eat it, and I liked it. It wasn't that bad, so that's how Mexicans do it, I guess. It was great.
That's awesome.
That's what she was talking about, and I don't remember being sick a lot when I was a kid. I really don't. I remember like earaches and how she would get that, take care of that for me, but as soon as it was like winter and we knew we weren't going to see the sun a lot, she had like this like saying about it in Spanish, and she would just put lots of raw garlic in her frijoles.
She knew. See, she knew.
And then she did. I remember her putting some stuff on my feet when I was little, and my dad being like, and we just let Grandma do it because you just gotta let Grandma do it. Thank you so much for being on the show. I think we hit our 30-minute mark. I could talk to you all day about health and how to take care of our kids and just anything. Thank you so much. I always have a good time with you. Oh, and just a little disclaimer, Stephanie's not a doctor, and neither am I, and none of our comments should be taken as medical advice, so don't. Use common sense, ask your doctor, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Thanks again, Stephanie. We'll see you until next time.
Bye.
Bye.